Civil government, so far as it is instituted for the security of property, is in reality instituted for the defense of the rich against the poor, or of those who have some property against those who have none at all. Science is the great antidote to the poison of enthusiasm and superstition. The first thing you have to know is yourself. A man who knows himself can step outside himself and watch his own reactions like an observer. Never complain of that of which it is at all times in your power to rid yourself. No society can surely be flourishing and happy of which by far the greater part of the numbers are poor and miserable. It is not very unreasonable that the rich should contribute to the public expense, not only in proportion to their revenue, but something more than in that proportion. Virtue is more to be feared than vice, because its excesses are not subject to the regulation of conscience. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. All for ourselves, and nothing for other people, seems, in every age of the world, to have been the vile maxim of the masters of mankind. Wherever there is great property, there is great inequality. Man is an animal that makes bargains, no other animal does this, no dog exchanges bones with another. Every man lives by exchanging. Problems worthy of attacks, prove their worth by hitting back. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. What is prudence in the conduct of every private family can scarce be folly in that of a great kingdom. Man naturally desires, not only to be loved, but to be lovely. There is no art which one government sooner learns of another than that of draining money from the pockets of the people. We are but one of the multitude, in no respect better than any other in it. Consumption is the sole end and purpose of all production. A man must always live by his work, and his wages must at least be sufficient to maintain him. They must even upon most occasions be somewhat more, otherwise it would be impossible for him to bring up a family, and the race of such workmen could not last beyond the first generation. There is a great deal of ruin in a nation. Hatred and anger are the greatest poison to the happiness of a good mind. Virtue is excellence, something uncommonly great and beautiful, which rises far above what is vulgar and ordinary. In ease of body and peace of mind, all the different ranks of life are nearly upon the same level, and the beggar who suns himself by the highway, possesses that security which kings are fighting for. The profligacy of a man of fashion is looked upon with much less contempt and aversion, than that of a man of meaner condition. To superficial minds, the vices of the great seem at all times agreeable. The desire of being believed, the desire of persuading, of leading, and directing other people, seems to be one of the strongest of all our natural desires. The great secret of education is to direct vanity to proper objects. It was not by gold or by silver, but by labor, that all the wealth of the world was originally purchased. In the common degree of the moral, there is no virtue. Virtue is excellence. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker, that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest. No society can flourish of which the greater part is poor and miserable. I have always considered David Hume as approaching as nearly the idea of a perfectly wise and virtuous man as perhaps the nature of human frailty will allow. In general, if any branch of trade, or any division of labor, be advantageous to the public, the freer and more general the competition, it will always be the more so. To feel much for others and little for ourselves, to restrain our selfishness and exercise our benevolent affections, constitute the perfection of human nature.